If you think being loved gives you power, you're wrong, and you've already lost the game. Niccolo Machiavelli, the genius of strategy, revealed a brutal truth. It's better to be feared than loved. Picture this: Adolf Hitler, a monster responsible for unspeakable horrors, wielded fear to command absolute obedience even as he was hated by millions. Now imagine Nelson Mandela, beloved for his fight for justice, but reliant on the goodwill of others to unite a nation. Who inspired immediate, unquestionable respect at the height of their power? Hitler, because the fear he imposed was an iron chain, cruel but effective. Being hated isn't the goal, but Machiavelli teaches us hatred can be a weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll uncover Machiavelli's lessons that show how to turn hatred into power while keeping the line without losing sight of the line between strategy and tyranny. In the battlefield of life, where every step is watched and every mistake exploited, chasing love is a fatal error. Machiavelli warned, "It is much safer to be feared than loved when one must choose between the two. Love is fragile, dependent on others' kindness, and dissolves when interests shift. Hatred, on the other hand, is constant, born of fear, envy, and forced respect." Being hated means you're a force, someone who can't be ignored. Think about it. The boss everyone criticizes but obeys, the influencer who divides opinions but dominates headlines, the leader who's despised but never challenged. They thrive because they've grasped a truth. Hatred is the fuel of power. Machiavelli's genius lies in his raw view of human nature. People respect those who intimidate them, not those who please them. A prince who seeks love is predictable, vulnerable, an easy target. But a leader who embraces hatred, they're a fortress, unshakable, impossible to control. Today, we'll dive deep into 3 of Machiavelli's lessons that show how to turn hatred into your greatest strength. These aren't just ideas. They're a roadmap to mastering the game of power, a guide to bending the world to your will. Lesson 1. The power of fear. The first lesson is that fear is stronger than love. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are less hesitant to harm someone who makes himself loved than someone who makes himself feared." Being loved makes you dependent on others' approval. Being feared makes you independent. Look at history. Cesare Borgia, Machiavelli's model prince, was hated by many. He executed traitors without hesitation, betrayed allies when needed, and ruled with an iron fist. His enemies despised him, but didn't dare confront him. Or take Joan of Arc, branded a heretic, who inspired terror in the English and loyalty in her followers, not through kindness, but through relentless resolve. Or consider Vlad the Impaler, hated, yet so feared that his name still echoes as a symbol of raw power. Today, chasing approval is a deadly trap. In a world of social media where every word can be twisted, the co-worker who knows you avoid conflict, the rival who exploits your need to please, they control you because you crave love. But when you embrace hatred, when you make tough calls, set boundaries, or ignore criticism, you create respect. Think of leaders like Margaret Thatcher, hated by many but undeniably powerful, shaping nations by refusing to fear being the villain. Or Elon Musk, whose controversial decisions spark hatred but cement his influence. Even Anita, a Brazilian pop star, faces criticism for her boldness but dominates the scene because she doesn't bow. In practice, start small. At work, stop trying to please. Demand results even if they call you cold. If you're a creator, post something bold, knowing it'll draw haters. In your personal life, say no without explaining, even if they judge you. The fear you inspire is authority, not cruelty. But Machiavelli warns, fear must be balanced with respect or hatred can topple you. Reflect, where are you seeking love instead of respect? How can you inspire fear without losing allies? This is your first weapon. If you're ready to turn hatred into power, hit that subscribe button now and join us to master Machiavelli's strategies. Lesson 2. Hatred as a mirror of envy. The second lesson is that hatred reflects others' envy. Machiavelli said, "Men are more offended by another's prosperity than by their own losses." Your success, your courage, your difference, they breed enemies. In the 21st century, this is amplified. Cancel culture, anonymous attacks, social media, gossip. It's envy disguised as criticism. The problematic influencer stays viral. The entrepreneur called arrogant keeps profiting. Hatred proves your relevance. In history, Machiavelli himself was hated. His writings were called immoral, diabolical, but that hatred made him eternal. Or think of Galileo, persecuted for defying the church yet immortal for his truth. Today, look at Kanye West. Hated for his outbursts, he uses every criticism to amplify his influence. In Brazil, Pablo Vittar, a drag queen and singer, is criticized for her authenticity, but became an icon by turning hatred into visibility. Or Cristiano Ronaldo, whose arrogance is just envy from those who can't match his greatness. How do you use this? Identify the hatred you receive. Who criticizes you most? They're the ones envying your courage, your success. Don't react with anger, that gives them power. Smile, move forward, and let hatred prove your strength. At work, ignore comments about your ambition and focus on results. As a creator, turn criticism into content. A controversial post drives engagement. In your personal life, distance yourself from those who judge you. Hatred is your trophy, but it takes discipline. Don't internalize the critiques, channel them. Let's practice. Grab a notebook and write down 3 criticisms you've received recently. Next to each, write, what does this reveal about the critic? Maybe envy of your success, fear of your boldness. Now, plan an action. Use one criticism as fuel for a project. Dare a post to change. For example, if they call you cocky at work, lead a project with even more confidence. Hatred is your mirror. It shows where you shine. Ask yourself, what criticisms am I dodging? How can I use them to grow? If these lessons are sparking something in you, subscribe to the channel for more strategies to take charge. Lesson 3, the freedom of being the villain. The third lesson is that embracing the villain's role sets you free. Machiavelli wrote, a prince must be ready to be considered cruel if it ensures his survival. Trying to please everyone is slavery. Accepting that not everyone will love you, that's freedom. Cleopatra was called manipulative, treacherous, but she used hatred to sway kings and shape empires. Catherine the Great was hated for her ambition, but transformed Russia because she didn't care about the critics. In the modern world, being the villain is powerful. Jeff Bezos is criticized for his wealth, his ruthlessness, but he built an empire. Madonna defied norms, was hated by generations, but redefined pop culture. In Brazil, Marília Mendonça, a late country music star, was criticized for her direct style, but dominated the genre by being authentic. Being the villain means posting without fear, leading without permission, living without justification. In practice, act without fear of judgment. As a creator, launch that controversial project. As a professional, defend an unpopular idea. In your personal life, say no without guilt. The hatred you receive is the price of freedom. But Machiavelli warns, the villain must be strategic, not cruel. Inspire fear, not rebellion. For example, if you're a leader, set firm rules but show fairness. If you're an influencer, provoke with purpose. Reflect, where are you compromising to please? What would happen if you embraced the villain's role? Let's go deeper. Think of the last time you avoided something because you feared judgment. Maybe you didn't post a video, didn't confront someone, didn't chase a dream. What if the hatred you fear was your liberation? What if being called difficult or selfish was proof you're on the right path? Hold that thought. It's the fire that will lead you to freedom, the cost of being hated. Before we show you how to use these lessons, let's talk about the cost, because power comes at a price. Being hated strengthens you, but isolates you. Friends pull away, unsettled by your strength. Colleagues avoid you, intimidated. The world loves the likable, the ones who fit in. When you choose hatred, you face judgment, loneliness, betrayal. Machiavelli knew this. Exiled, hated, he wrote, the prince. In solitude, even modern icons like Beyoncé bear the weight of hatred for their greatness. Machiavelli wrote, there is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. Conflict is inevitable. You'll be called arrogant, manipulative, cruel. Those labels are the price of sovereignty. The loved are controlled, the hated are free. How do you navigate this? Surround yourself with a few loyal allies, partners who respect your strength, not friends who demand vulnerability. Trust yourself, because when you break the rules, you're the only one who sees the horizon. But there's another cost, the internal weight. Hatred can make you doubt, consume you. To resist, practice self-compassion. Set aside a daily moment to remind yourself, hatred isn't about you, it's about the impact you make. Write down your wins, no matter how small, and celebrate them. Ask yourself, what inner voices am I hearing? How can I silence them to keep moving? Hatred is a storm. Learn to dance in the rain. How to use hatred, the path to power. How do you turn hatred into power? Here's a practical plan to apply the 3 lessons. For the power of fear, inspire respect, not affection. At work, set clear boundaries. Say what you won't tolerate, even if they think you're harsh. On social media, post with conviction, even if it draws haters. In your personal life, prioritize your strength. Today, identify one situation where you're seeking love and shift to seeking respect. Maybe saying no to a request that compromises you, for hatred as envy. Use criticism as fuel. Write down 3 recent criticisms and ask, what do they reveal? About the critic? Turn one into action. If they call you cocky, lead with more confidence. If they accuse you of overdoing it, do something even bolder. Start now. Pick one criticism and make it your motivation for a project or change. For the freedom of being the villain, act without fear. This week, do something bold. Launch a project that scares you. Defend an unpopular idea. Cut ties with someone who drags you down. Time your impact. When others are comfortable, strike. Analyze the result. How did the hatred shift the dynamic? Use it to plan your next move. Machiavelli gave us the final advice. A prince must be a fox to spot traps and a lion to scare wolves. In the 21st century, this means mastering the art of being hated. Stop seeking love. Stop following scripts. Stop being the pawn others expect. Become the enigma, the force no one can predict or contain. Yes, it's lonely. The hated walk alone, trusted by few, understood by fewer. But that loneliness is your strength. It's what makes you untouchable, unbreakable, unstoppable. If you want to master the game of power, subscribe now and never miss a strategy lesson. The long game, being hated as a way of life. Let's step back. Being hated isn't a tactic, it's a lifestyle. The world will try to box you in, make you conform, make you likable. Your mission is to resist, reinvent, evolve. Think of the greats. Muhammad Ali, hated for defying the system, but an eternal icon. Frida Kahlo, criticized for her intensity, but immortal for her authenticity. Nelson Mandela, hated by governments, but revered for his courage. Or Sun Tzu. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Being hated is your opportunity, to outlast, to endure, to shine. This lifestyle demands discipline. Train yourself to see hatred as strength, not weakness. Keep a journal. Write down criticisms. Ask what they reveal about your haters. Plan 1. Bold action per week. Study your environment. Who's pressuring you to please? Who benefits from your submission? Embrace discomfort. Being hated is like facing a storm. With practice, it becomes your essence, your edge, your power. But how do you sustain it long-term? Build an inner fortress. Dedicate time to know yourself. Meditate, write, reflect on your values. Surround yourself with mentors or allies who challenge your comfort zone, not reinforce it, and reinvent yourself constantly. When the world thinks it knows you, change. Madonna did this with every album, Ali with every fight, Machiavelli with every book. Ask yourself, how can I reinvent myself this month? What new side can I show? Hatred keeps you sharp, but reinvention keeps you eternal, keeping the power, the strategy of the hated. Let's go further. Being hated isn't just about gaining power, it's about keeping it. Machiavelli teaches that a prince must be vigilant because hatred can spark rebellion. How do you avoid this? First, balance fear with justice. If you're a leader, be firm but reward loyalty. If you're a creator, provoke but deliver value. Second, anticipate hatred. Study your enemies. Who's waiting for you to fall? Surprise them with an unexpected move, an alliance, a project, a strategic silence. Third, build a narrative. Hatred is inevitable, but you control how it's perceived. Use social media, speeches, actions to shape your image as strong, not cruel. In history, Catherine de' Medici was hated as a queen, but survived by manipulating narratives, aligning with enemies, and controlling information. Today, think of politicians like Angela Merkel, criticized but respected for her strategic consistency. In Brazil, Lula faces hatred but holds power by crafting a narrative of resilience. You can do the same. Post about your victories, not your defenses. Show strength, not victimhood. In practice, start a long-term plan. This week, identify a rival or critic. Study their moves. What do they expect from you? Plan an action to disarm them. Maybe a project that steals the spotlight, a change that confuses them. Write your narrative. What story do you want told? About you. Post, speak, act to reinforce it. Hatred is your stage. Use it to shine. Reflect one last time. Who benefits from your desire to be loved? What systems, work, relationships, society trap you in the chase for approval? And what would happen if you broke free, became the one no one can control? Picture it. You, liberated, rewriting the rules, shaping your destiny. That's the power Machiavelli saw, the power you can seize, the mirror of truth. We've reached the end, but the truth lingers like a shadow. In the game of power, seeking love is surrender. Being hated is sovereignty. Machiavelli's 3 lessons, fear, envy, freedom, are your weapons, but they come at a cost. You'll be misunderstood, feared, rejected, but in that fear lies your power. The world will try to box you in, make you conform, make you likable, but you're not a pawn. You're the player, the one who shapes fate. As you face the mirror tonight, ask yourself, am I ready to break the chains of approval, to embrace the hatred that sets me free? Power isn't given, it's taken by those bold enough to defy, to be villains, to become the unknown. Until next time, remember this: in the labyrinth of life, the hated don't just survive, they reign. And when the silence falls, only you will know the truth of who you've become.